given that you guys were younger and you found yourself in this place of great challenge, what are some of the biggest challenges that you had to face being, your age at the time?
What we found was very interesting is you'd think, well, we're doing this big, hard thing, we're interning at the Alabama Supreme Court, or even the stuff that we're doing now with the book, and all of those things are very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Writing the book was probably one of the hardest things we've ever done, and who knows, possibly one of the hardest things we'll have ever done. Writing a book is just very difficult. It's a lot of work. But at the same time, even through all those things, what we've found is oftentimes the hardest things for us are those, what I call the small hard things.
Mm-hmm.
The smallest things can be the most difficult of all because nobody sees those things.
Right.
You don't go and get interviewed on TV for cleaning your room 2 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get pats on the back for having a cheerful attitude, doing your chores, honoring your parents. Those things aren't things that people see and pay attention to. And so it was glamorous being interns at the Alabama Supreme Court. That was exciting. What wasn't as exciting was keeping our rooms clean and helping with the chores of the family we were staying at and reading our Bibles every morning before we had to get up early to go to work and staying in touch with our family back home.
Right.
Those were the things that were the most difficult for us to do consistently because those were things that took real character because no one else was watching.
Right. So you also talked about big, hard things. I imagine that during your time there, your tenure, you also faced big, hard challenges or big, hard things. Do you have any examples?
Well, there are so many examples we could give you of, of big, hard things. In the book, we just, that chapter is full of examples of young people. And when we talk about, these big, hard things, we are talking about big causes, big projects. It could be even as big as something like fighting modern-day slavery,
mm-hmm.
Or fighting abortion, or some, big cause that you can give your whole life to. And we're really challenging young people to have those kind of, ambitions, those kind of passions and goals. One of the stories that we love to share is of a guy named Zach Hunter. He's now 16, and he is a modern-day abolitionist. So he's fighting modern-day slavery. And he started when he was 12 years old. Started an organization called Loosen Chains to Loosen Chains to raise money and awareness about slavery. And he's spoken now to over 500,000 people in live audiences and spoken at the White House. He's written 2 books.
Wow.
And he's 16 years old. And the amazing thing about Zach is that when he was in middle school, when he was younger, he suffered from severe anxiety attacks, where he actually had to be taken out of school for a while because he just, he would get dizzy, he'd have to lay down. It just was really bad. And so he was the last person you would expect to be speaking, to stand up for people, to go and speak to, huge crowds of 20,000 people at a time. But he is, and he's doing it because he's found a cause, that's bigger than his fear. And he believes that God has called him to do this. And so those are the kind of stories that, we share to say, even young people who you'd least expect can do big, hard things for God because God promises to give us the strength to do what He's called us to do. And if we're willing to trust Him enough to obey Him even when it's hard, He can do incredible things through us. So none of the stories we share, even our, in our stories as well, none of them are intended to be like, oh, look at how great we are, we're exceptional, we're different, we're prodigies. None of that. The idea is that we're normal young people who live a different way, who think differently, who have this do hard things mindset, and who are trusting God enough to step outside our comfort zones, to tackle big things, to be faithful in small things, to go against the flow, all of those hard things we talk about. And here's the kind of way, here's the ways God can use you when you live that way.